Hey everybody, welcome. I am Dr. Nielsen, founder of Nielsen Holistic.
And I'm Jolene, founder of DonnyWheat.com. We're going to be cooking another recipe for you today, and it's almond cake. Now this cake is so yummy. It's one of my favorites, and it's really easy to make. There's not a lot of ingredients, but I'm going to show you how you can just do it in one blender, and you don't have to mess up anything else. So we'll go ahead and start.
This is one of my favorite cakes, just by the way. When she first made this, the reason why I think this is such a good one to make, when she first made this, nobody even knew, she didn't say anything, she just kind of served this at a family reunion, and nobody even knew that it was gluten-free. So a lot of times when you're able to create things that taste so good, you don't even notice that they're gluten-free. So this is pretty amazing.
Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to start off with 1 cup of gluten-free oats. Now gluten-free oats are different than just regular oats because they're processed not with any contaminants. They're a little bit more expensive, but it's well worth it, especially if you're celiac, because then you're not getting that gluten into your oats. So we're doing the whole oats, and what you're going to be doing is just grinding it into a flour. If you have oat flour, you can also use that as well instead. So that would be 1 cup of oat flour, or you can do 1 cup of the oats.
You know, just one little side note on, what would you say, 1 cup of the oat flour, or 1 cup, it's equal? Mm-hmm. Okay. So just one side note as well, kind of the science and more of the kind of watch out or beware. You know, oats, often there are quite a few strains of oat that are gluten-free, however, and really however, gluten-free oats are, like she said, more expensive. The reason why is because they're going to be generally manufactured in a mill or rolled in a mill that isn't contaminated. And a lot of times this is not some of your name brands. So for example, if you have a name brand like Quaker Oats, I don't know if they've changed now, but historically many of those type of companies, and I'm not just saying them, but historically you'll have a mill, and to be able to save equipment and time, they'll roll or they'll grind, say, wheat, you know, a red wheat. And then right after that, so they'll do runs of wheat for a couple of hours, and then right after that, they might clean up the machine or whatever, but honestly, you can't clean it that well because then you'd have to take all the parts apart and clean it and sterilize it. Well, then they'll run oats through it. Consequently, even though an oat, if it is gluten-free, if they've just ran it through a mill that's been running wheat, it will be contaminated. So be really careful about that. If you're going to think just oats, you've got to get certified gluten-free. You got to get the gluten-free oats.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and grind this up on our blend tech. If you have a high-speed blender, it can work. If you have a food processor, it can also work. It's just depending on how fine you want to get your flour. So I'm going to grind this. It's going to get a little loud for a moment. And we have to turn it on. That probably
it always helps to turn things on.
Okay. So if you notice, it didn't take very long at all to grind those up, and I just went up to speed 4. If you want a finer, you can grind it for longer. I've ground it up to like 45 seconds before. And so anyways, then that's your flour. I usually hit the top to get the excess flour that's gotten to the top down. Then you can go ahead and take it off. So next we're going to be...
Make sure you only hit it twice though. It's good luck.
Okay, so next we are going to be going to our next item. Oh, and I just wanted to show you real quick. This is how I do a lot of my cooking. So after I post a recipe, I actually pull up the website on my phone and then I follow the recipe. So it's a great resource, especially if you're at home and you don't want to print off copies or anything. You can just pull it up on your phone and you have it. So that's how we're cooking from today. Okay, so next up we have our butter, and I'll talk about if you're dairy intolerant, if you can't have dairy, this is a really great brand. It's called Earth Balance, It's made by the same people that do the other
Maybe
kind.
Smart Balance.
Smart Balance. Couldn't think of it. This one in particular I enjoy because it's soy free, so if you have allergies to soy as well.
Again, soy, one of the other big genetified or genetically modified foods. The three biggies would be wheat, corn, soy. So again, the earth balance is a little bit optional choice as well. You can use, we'll oftentimes use an organic butter if we're not making it dairy free.
Okay, so I've taken my butter, and you're gonna do a half a cup of butter. You can also use ghee, which is a little bit more expensive. It's butter separated, and then they only use part of the butter. Or you can do a dairy-free butter, like I said. So you melt your butter down. I just do it on an extremely low temperature, and then you're gonna add in your sugar. Now, the recipe calls for organic evaporated cane sugar. If you don't have that, you can just use sugar. I like the evaporated cane sugar because it's better for you. It's not as processed as the normal sugar.
So normal sugar would be sucrose, which you'll find in stores. Sucrose is a combination of fructose and glucose, both simple sugars. They are, obviously not as natural. Most of them aren't organic. The other problem, we're starting to see problems with fructose and some insulin resistance. So we really want to be careful about the fructose. Just kind of avoid the fructose.
Okay, so I'm just mixing my butter and sugar together, really simple. And then after it's mixed, I'm just going to pour it straight into my blender. And then I'm actually going to put everything else into the blender and then blend it up, and then we're ready to go. So this recipe doesn't take very long to throw together. It's not very complicated, but the results are amazing. You're going to love it. Ever since we've made this, I've been kind of addicted to almond extract because of the flavor that it provides. It's just such a yummy flavor. So.
And on the almond extract, we just have the Watkins pure almond extract. I know you can get the imitation kind. If you can, we try to get the pure almond extract, but there is also the imitation, but if it's natural, it's always better.
Mm-hmm. So I'm going to go ahead and add into the blender my 2 eggs, and then we are almost close to blending this. We just have to add our almond extract, and you're going to do 1 tablespoon of that.
And just remember to preheat your oven to how many degrees?
375.
So 375 degrees, you want to preheat your oven. And just so by the time we've got this all mixed up, you go ahead and just pop it in the oven.
Okay, so a tablespoon of almond extract. Go ahead and pour that in there. It smells so good already. I'm excited.
You can tell she's in love with the almond extract.
Okay, so I just popped the lid back on. I'm just going to turn it up. And you may need to scrape the sides to make sure that the flour gets all mixed in. So I usually run it, scrape the sides a little bit, and then run it again. Thanks.
I'm the sous chef. I just, help out where I can.
And he actually does. A lot of my sauces have been helped by him because he's really good with
Oh yeah, I'm the saucier.
flavors.
I try to make all the sauces.
Okay, so now that it's blended, what I'm going to do is put it into my pan, and I'm going to show you a little secret that I learned that really helps. So I am using this pan. Normally you can use an 8x8, but this is a 8x6, so my cake will be just a little bit thicker. And then I'm going to use parchment paper, and I just line the parchment paper on the bottom, and it's sticking out on 2 sides, and I'll show you what I'm going to do. So I just line that on the bottom, and that will help me to be able to lift the cake out so that I can cut it easily and have a good presentation. So I'll go ahead and pour this out right onto that parchment paper. And scrape the sides a little. Thanks.
Teamwork.
Okay. So now what we do with the parchment paper, I just cut off the extra that's sticking up. Just this extra little bit off the sides. And then you're ready to throw it into the oven. So you go ahead and throw it in for 30 minutes if you're doing an 8x8, and you know that it's ready when you stick a toothpick in it and it comes out clean. So that's it, and we'll see you when it's done. Okay, our cake is hot, just came out of the oven. So now what we're going to do is go ahead and put our icing on it. So for the icing, I just mixed up a ½ teaspoon of almond extract, a 1/4 cup of powdered sugar, and there's a great recipe on my website for an alternative to powdered sugar. You can make it from evaporated cane sugar or like a healthier, coarser sugar instead of the refined sugar that it's made from. And then you also put in 1½ teaspoons of almond milk. And so you mix that all up, it makes kind of a runny paste. And while the cake is hot, you want to pour this on top of the cake. And so I just usually drizzle it all across. And that will just soak into the cake and make such a yummy flavor. And you can eat this cake hot. It's hard to wait until it's cooled down to eat it. But it's really good, so I hope you enjoy it. Thanks so much for watching today.